Hi everyone, Tracy DW here. On this day in 1948, the MV Empire Windrush, a British troop ship, sailed into the docks at Tilbury in Essex. It had transported just over 1,000 migrants, around 800 of these coming from the Caribbean, with just over 200 migrating from Jamaica, and others arriving from islands such as Barbados, Trinidad, St. Lucia and Grenada. This was a journey across the Atlantic Ocean like that of so many other ships before, at the time and thereafter. But this wave of migration was a learning journey like no other, becoming symbolic of a significant period of post-war immigration to Britain. I believe that it is by providence that this, the 100th episode of Stories to be Told, the podcast series, coincides with today, Windrush Day. Firstly, I want to begin by thanking you, my co-listeners, for all your encouragement and support. Your downloads, streams, likes, comments and shares have all helped to grow and shape this podcast. I also want to acknowledge the source of inspiration for the origins of my learning journey for this podcast series. A stern but loving grandmother who encouraged me to read. A music teacher who had a passion for studying the past. My frustration with the misrepresentation of history within the school curriculum, and a burning desire to see the topic of the British Empire as a clear focus for study within the UK education system. And finally, I want to acknowledge the heart and soul of Stories to be Told, where the journey really began. The stories, those rich narratives that aim to bridge generations, present a fresh perspective on history and shed a spotlight on that which needs to be told. The launch of this podcast on the 10th of October 2020 was an invitation for you to join me on this journey. A journey that not only is a model for historical inquiry, it has become a voyage of discovery and a deeper exploration of our shared history, challenging us to own the past and shape the future with better informed perspectives from which we can all learn from the kind of history that enables and inspires, as well as the kind of history which should never be repeated. The word Windrush has become synonymous with a period of history and recognised for its significance in British society in so many ways, acknowledging and celebrating the courage and contribution of those Caribbean migrants who, by their own volition, helped rebuild post-war Britain. However, this celebration is not completely void of controversy. It has influenced various changes to immigration policy as the origin of the hostile environment agenda in the 2010s, and scandal which has brought misery to many through job loss, homelessness and deportation. Even the word wind has become a reoccurring theme throughout this podcast series. It began with a look at the ship in HM Windrush, A Different Perspective, and became a call to action in answer to the rise of nationalism through the speech of British PM Harold Macmillan, only to alert us to adjust the sails during the COVID pandemic in the hope that, in the wake of a global crisis, divisions would be healed and age-old, deep-rooted prejudices would be challenged to address the roots of so many systemic inequalities. Still, the powerful continue to think that they can control the wind and change its course of direction. On this journey, I have built and expanded my own capacity to think critically and always remember that curiosity and an open mind with a willingness to join the dots and make connections is at the heart of the work that has gone into each episode. Each episode released has been like giving birth to a child, and though each one is unique, they are all interconnected and relate to each other, holistically guiding you as my co-learners and listeners to revisit old ground or discover new learning. And speaking of new learning, I'm enjoying my new learning journey with Magic Mind. I call it my mental performance shot. One a day with my morning coffee gets me focused, mentally clear, motivated and productive while reducing stress at the same time. And the benefits of Magic Mind? With 12 active ingredients, including organically grown mushrooms, adaptogens and the highest quality matcha, it enables me to absorb the caffeine in a way that actually lowers my cortisol levels. Oh, and each bottle also provides me with 100% of my daily vitamin C and D. So it's magic for the mind and body as well. Remember to use the special code TOLD20 to get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Try Magic Mind for yourself and enhance your daily morning ritual. Looking back over the previous podcasts, I feel an overwhelming sense of pride and amazement at the body of work that I've produced. It's like taking a trip down memory lane, but it's also become a trip around the world, from Canada, the Americas, the Caribbean and Haiti, to the Congo, Zimbabwe and South Africa, all the way to Ireland and the Middle East, Hong Kong and even Ukraine. It has been a sobering experience to explore colonialism from a global perspective, and in doing so, I hope that I've made the subject accessible in ways that are thought-provoking, imaginative and engaging, educating children, young adults and older on its complexities and its lasting impact. So is history a matter of fact or perspective? If there's one thing that I have learnt from doing this podcast series, it is that my strapline holds true. History is not about events. History is not about what happened. History is quite simply a narrative, and whoever controls the narrative determines what is remembered and what is forgotten. And through my podcast, we have certainly encountered individuals who have sought to control the narrative. Many have tried. Edward Colston, Toussaint Louverture, Nockatule Dube, Harold Macmillan, Patrice Lumumba and Prince Harry. Some of them we celebrate and others we may view with contempt or disdain. Whoever controls the narrative carves out an official narrative that has often been to the detriment of people of colour, forming the basis of human constructs about race, class, gender and culture, which are generated as facts that have hampered and crippled human progress since the dawn of time. If history is more about who controls the narrative and whose perspective the narrative comes from, then we should all strive to control our own narratives. The greatest power that any human being has is to recognise that the life you lead is the history that you will leave behind. So strive to control your own narrative. Do not leave it to others, as there is no history that's quite like the narrative that you can tell of yourself. If you liked this podcast, then stay on this listening platform and check out some of the most popular episodes over the last 4 seasons, such as Wind of Change Expanded, Remembering Patrice Lumumba, An Ode to Africville, Ghana and the Chocolate Factory, and some spare notes on Prince Harry. There is so much to look back on and enjoy. And if you're a regular listener, or even if you're relatively new to the podcast, send me an email and let me know what has been your favourite episode and why. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget what I call the heart and soul of the Stories to be Told movement. Yes, my stories, or poetic narratives, Caribbean Wind, Caribbean Rush, Knights at the Round Table, the Berlin Conference 1884, and Gone with the Wind, Macmillan's Speech for Change. These are all available on the website in paperback, on Amazon in Kindle format, and in ebook format at Apple Books and all other digital platforms. And why not check out the website and purchase your own copy of Caribbean Wind, a celebration of Windrush Day and an ode to acknowledge the achievements of the Windrush generation. And also the publication of the latest 4 titles. Now, if you want to find out more, just visit storiestobetold.com and check out the learning platforms for The Journey's End, Giving Back Hong Kong, Bite from the Big Apple, A Story for New York, Hope for Zimbabwe, Arise the Phoenix, and A Story for South Africa. You can visit storiestobetold.com to check out the promotional giveaway for this month for one lucky person on my email list. And if you'd like to sign up, you can opt in and receive your free samples of my first 4 titles. And it's also an opportunity to enter the draw for the monthly giveaway. And if you're a regular listener, why not try the Name That Podcast challenge? Now, there'll be a bonus episode to follow this episode to share details on the changes to the format of the challenge. Follow the instructions in the bonus episode and just email me your name and answer, and that's it. You'll be in the draw with a chance to win an exclusive Stories to be Told merch bundle. It's as simple as that. I'm looking for 3 winners to announce on my live event in August. Oh, and don't forget what I told you about Magic Mind. The link and promo code is also in the show notes. And finally, remember that you can also send me an audio message on the SpeakPipe link, which is also in the show notes, so don't be a stranger. Feel free to like, follow and share us on social media when you visit the website. Just click on to whichever social media link you would like to follow us on. And as always, it is a pleasure and a privilege to share my learning journey with you in this podcast series, and I encourage you to either begin or continue your own. History is a matter of fact or perspective. I'm Tracy DW, and this is a Stories to be Told podcast. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Happy Windrush Day, and thanks so much for listening to the first 100 episodes. Here's to the next 100, and I'll see you on the next page.